All the other universes are as real as the one you and I are in now.
Suppose you're right. What would it mean for me?
You have to start thinking of yourself as not as an entity existing in one universe, but an entity existing in the multiverse as a whole. And so there are other copies of you and of me in other universes. Some of these copies are completely identical to us.
What makes me go into multiple copies in multiple universes?
You already exist in multiple copies. Initially, they are all identical. And then when a moment of choice happens, both a microscopic one and one made by you consciously, these identical copies become different from one another.
So suppose you're walking in Oxford and you have to choose to go left or right.
In that case, for instance, it could be that in half the universes I go left and in half I go right. What we see around us is not the whole of reality. That reality is much more varied and has a great multiplicity. This is what we call multiple universes. This is a laser pointer that we use in giving lectures. I shine the laser through the hole. We can see a little spot on the screen over there. You'd expect to see just, if there's one hole, you'd expect to see one spot, but that's already not true. You see quite a complicated pattern. What would happen if we made a second hole? We get a completely different pattern. And through 3 holes, there's a different pattern again. How do we explain the fact that we see the same pattern, that we detect the same pattern on the screen, when there's only one photon at a time going through here, as we did when the bright laser light was shining on it? So even when there's only one photon at a time coming through, the place where it lands depends on what other holes there are. And what we must conclude from this is that something is coming through those other holes and shoving our photon aside, and that process is interference.
How do I even know who I am, what I am, if there are multiple copies for me?
That is the same question that one of a pair of identical twins might say if there are 2 identical twins called Joe and Jack, and Joe might ask, well, why am I Joe and him Jack? Well, the answer is, if you were Jack and he was Joe, you'd still be asking this question. The thing is, the fact of the matter is, there are 2 of you, and they are identical, or they were identical, until they started to become different by having different things happen to them. And it's the same with you and your counterparts in other universes. They start off identical. When they're identical, it doesn't make any difference whether you call them one copy of you or several. But then when they start becoming different, it is worth calling them different versions of you, slightly different versions. Some of them, in more distant parts of the multiverse, will be so different from you that it isn't worth calling them you anymore.